Let me guess what you're thinking. In my opinion, you are imagining history as a solid, finished book where every date is set in stone. Well, prepare for a reality check because the last 10 years have basically lit that book on fire. And today, we're digging up things that shouldn't be where they are. Well, you are about to see some of them on your screen that look totally messy for the old experts, but for us, it's an incredible mystery coming to life. Number 15. Caracas Lions. 2. 5-ton granite lions are currently sitting in Turkey, and the weirdest part isn't their size. It's the fact that they've turned bright orange over the centuries. Discovered in 2001, these beasts were carved about 3,300 years ago by the Hittites, who were the absolute power players of the region back then. They're depicted prowling with their heads low, which gives off a super eerie, don't come closer vibe. Why were they there? Some think they were part of a sacred monument for a water spring, but the rest of the building is just gone. It's like finding two massive orange guard dogs protecting an empty lot. Since the two lions look like they were carved by different artists, it feels like a collaborative project that got abandoned halfway through. We're left staring at these heavy, prowling puzzles that refuse to tell us what they were actually guarding in the first place. Number 14. Dendera Zodiac. Can you imagine trying to navigate the entire galaxy with nothing but a chisel and a ceiling? That's exactly what we're looking at with the Dendera Zodiac. Currently hanging in the Louvre, this massive sandstone relief was ripped right out of an Egyptian temple dedicated to Osiris. It's got everything from a bull representing Taurus to scales for Libra, but the real drama is the age war between experts. While some think it's just 2,300 years old from the Greek-influenced era, others swear it's a 3,400-year-old New Kingdom masterpiece. If the older crowd is right, this isn't just art. It's the oldest map of the night sky ever attempted by humans. It basically proves that while the rest of the world was staring at the ground, the Egyptians were busy building a complex system of astrology that we're still obsessed with today. It's a literal star chart, frozen in stone, that makes our modern horoscopes look like child's play. Number 13. Lucia Woman. Back in 1975, an archaeologist named Annette Laming-Emperier pulled a skeleton out of a cave in Brazil and accidentally broke the entire history of the Americas. This is Lucia, and she's about 11,500 years old. Here's the mic drop moment. Her face doesn't look like any of the indigenous people we expected to see. Instead of looking like the Siberian hunters we're told crossed the land bridge, forensic experts say she looks like someone from Southeast Asia or an indigenous Australian. How on earth did a woman with South Pacific features end up in a Brazilian cave over 11,000 years ago? The travel tech of the time says that's a total impossibility, but her skull says otherwise. It's one of those discoveries that feels like a glitch in the historical matrix. She might be the living, skeletal proof that people were island hopping across the ocean way earlier than the consensus allows us to believe. Number 12. A Kaguana ceremonial ball courts. If you think modern sports fans are intense, you haven't seen the Taino culture's home court. Over in Puerto Rico, at a site called Kaguana, there are 30 ancient ball courts where people played a game called Beatty about 800 years ago. This wasn't just for fun and games, though. It was often tied to intense sacrificial rituals. Talk about high stakes. These courts were so important that the U.S. actually labeled the site a National Historic Landmark in the 90s. But here's where it gets really tinfoil hat interesting. Some experts think these courts weren't just for the ball game. They might have been giant outdoor observatories for tracking the stars or stages for massive ceremonial dances. It's like a multi-purpose stadium that doubled as a church and a NASA station. Seeing how far this game spread, all the way to Cuba and the Bahamas, makes you realize how connected these islands were long before a single European ship ever showed up on the horizon. To number 11. 16-foot hadrosaur tail. If you were wandering around Mexico in July 2013, you might have bumped into a 16-foot-long tail that's been waiting 72 million years to be found. This massive find belonged to a hadrosaur, basically a giant duck-billed dinosaur that reached up to 50 feet in length. Finding an intact tail like this is like winning the paleontological lottery because it includes all 50 vertebrae plus the hip bone. Usually, scavengers or thyme scatter the bones, but this one was perfectly preserved in the rock. Scientists were freaking out because we still don't really know how these cowboys of the Cretaceous actually moved their tails. Was it a whip, a stabilizer, a swimming aid? This discovery gave them a massive data dump to work with. It's a literal tail end of a story that's been buried since the era of the dinosaurs, and it's still teaching us how these massive creatures stomped around our backyard. Number 10. A Birmingham Quran. Fragments. Sometimes the most important thing in the world is just sitting in a dusty box in England. In 2015, someone at the University of Birmingham got curious and carbon-dated some tattered scraps of parchment they'd owned for a century. The results were a total bombshell. These pages are at least 1,375 years old, making them part of the oldest Quran in existence. We're talking about goat or sheepskins that were likely written on while the Prophet Muhammad was still alive, and or by someone who actually knew him personally. It's an incredible direct link to the very birth of a religion. What's even wilder is that the text on these ancient fragments is identical to what people read today. It's a rare moment where science and tradition actually high-five each other, proving that the words haven't shifted a bit in over a millennium. Talk about a curiosity killed the cat moment that actually saved a piece of history. Number 9. Basalt triangle code vessels. So, have you ever noticed how some people are obsessed with a specific brand or logo? Well, 6,000 years ago in the Levant, people were apparently doing the same thing with basalt bowls. Archaeologists have found thousands of these stone vessels, and they all have these identical downward-pointing triangles etched into the inside. We're talking about a triangle code that was strictly followed across multiple settlements. Making these things out of basalt was a total nightmare compared to regular clay, so the effort involved was insane. Why would you spend days carving hard stone just to put the same secret symbol on the bottom? Some guy named Danny Rosenberg thinks they were made on an industrial scale in just 1 or 2 spots and then shipped out. It's like an ancient version of a luxury brand where the rules of use were super specific, whether it was a religious thing or some weird 4000 BCE. A membership club. It's a mystery that still has everyone scratching their heads. Number 8. Mesopotamian data balls. Did you know the first hard drive was actually made of dirt? Back in 2013, researchers started getting really serious about these weird clay spheres found in Iran. These things are roughly 5,500 years old, ranging from the size of a golf ball to a full-on basketball. For decades, nobody wanted to break them open and ruin them. But once we used 3D scanning, the aha moment finally hit. Inside these hollow clay envelopes are tiny geometric tokens. It's basically a high-tech, for the Bronze Age, data storage system. They used them to record trades, like an ancient spreadsheet keeping track of how many sheep or jars of grain were swapped. It's wild to think that while we're using silicon chips, the Sumerians were uploading their business deals into clay balls. We're still missing the password, though. Maybe because without a cipher to explain what each shape means, we're just looking at very old, very smart math we can't quite read yet. Number 7. Vardzia Cave City. Imagine a 13-story skyscraper, but instead of reaching for the clouds, it's chiseled deep into the side of a mountain. That is Vardzia in Georgia, a mind-blowing rock city that Queen Tamar ordered to be built back in 1185. She wasn't just showing off. She was trying to save her people from the terrifying Mongol hordes that were sweeping through the land. This place was a literal hide-and-seek champion of architecture, featuring 6,000 rooms, a throne room, and even a church with a bell tower, all tucked away behind a secret tunnel entrance. It worked perfectly until nature decided to ruin the party. In 1283, a massive earthquake ripped the front off the mountain, and exposing the secret city to the world like a dollhouse with its walls torn off. It's heartbreaking because they did the impossible to hide from humans, only to be betrayed by the ground they were standing on. I can't even imagine the shock of the people living there when their invincible fortress just cracked open. Number 6. Rind mathematical papyrus. Ancient Egypt wasn't just about big triangles in the desert. They were absolute nerds about algebra too. Back in 1858, a Scottish guy named Henry Rind bought this 16-foot-long scroll in Luxor, and it turned out to be the ultimate math cheat sheet. Written by a scribe named Ahmes around 1550 BCE, it starts with a super bold claim. It's the knowledge of all things and the accurate reckoning of mysteries. And honestly, he wasn't lying. The math in there is so sophisticated that if you taught it to a middle schooler today, they'd probably be ahead of the curve. Yeah, it covers everything from complex geometry to, weirdly enough, how to cook and prepare food. It's such a human document. One page you're solving for X, and the next you're figuring out how much grain you need for dinner. It totally kills the idea that ancient people were primitive. They were doing high-level calculations while the rest of the world was still figuring out basic arithmetic. Number 5. The Vrable headless bodies. This one is look out of a horror movie. I'm not even kidding. In September 2022, researchers at a massive Stone Age settlement in Slovakia, a place called Vrable, found a ditch near the entrance filled with 36 bodies. But here's the part that'll keep you up at night. Every single one of them was headless. To make it even more tragic, almost all of them were kids or teenagers. This happened about 7,250 years ago, and while we can't be sure why, the leading theory is some kind of brutal cult ceremony. Oh, what's wild is that this town was huge, bigger than Troy, with streets laid out like a modern city. These people were smart, sophisticated, and clearly followed a plan, yet they were doing stuff like this. It's a massive reality check that civilized doesn't always mean peaceful. We're looking at a high-functioning society that had a seriously dark, bloody side that nobody expected to find in such an organized settlement. Number 4. A warrior woman of Fleury-sur-Orne picture walking into a room full of ancient tough guys, and the only one holding a Glock is the lady in the corner. That's basically what archaeologists stumbled upon at a 6,500-year-old cemetery in Fleury-sur-Orne, northern France. This place is a massive Neolithic burial ground packed with the remains of men, but right in the middle sits just one woman. Here's the kicker. She's the only one buried with arrowheads and weapons. Normally, experts expect the dudes to be the warriors, but this finding totally breaks that consensus. Was she a queen, a tribal protector, or maybe she was just so respected that they gave her honorary male status in the afterlife? Honestly, it feels like we're just realizing how little we actually know about how these Neolithic cultures viewed gender. It's a total mess for the old-school historians who want everything in neat little boxes, and I'm absolutely here for the drama of it. Number 3. And the rock drawings of Valcamonica. Think about the world's longest-running group chat, but it's carved into a mountain. That's Valcamonica. For 10,000 years, different tribes in the Italian Alps just kept adding their own posts to the rocks, resulting in over 250,000 drawings. You've got nomadic hunters from the literal Ice Age overlapping with warriors from 3,000 years ago. The weirdest part? Nobody even bothered to document this massive outdoor gallery until 1909. It took until 1979 for UNESCO to realize it was basically the most important prehistoric site in Europe. The most famous bit is the Communion Rose, which is so cool that the region of Lombardy stole it for their official flag. It's a messy, beautiful timeline of human history where the consensus on what life looked like keeps getting rewritten every time we decode a new symbol. Number 2. Derrynaflan Hoard money, lawyers, and a metal detector. This story has it all. Michael Webb and his son were just wandering through a Tipperary field in 1980 when their gear started screaming. They dug up a 9th century church stash, including a chalice so beautiful it basically redefined early medieval Irish art. But here's the real tea. The government tried to pay them a measly £10,000 for it. The Webbs weren't having it. They sparked a massive legal battle that lasted years, eventually walking away with over £5 million. It totally flipped the script on how treasure finds are handled in Ireland. It's crazy to imagine some monk frantically burying these gold treasures to hide them from Vikings 1,000 years ago, only for them to turn a modern family into millionaires because of a lucky afternoon stroll. Number 1. The Minoan frescoes of Tel El Daba. Why does a palace in the Egyptian Nile Delta look exactly like a villa on a Greek island? That's the glitch in the matrix archaeologists found at Tel El Daba. The Minoans don't just inspire these 3,500-year-old frescoes. They use the same tech, the same style, and the same weird bull-leaping imagery you'd find in Crete. Some people think Pharaoh Thutmose III might have married a Minoan princess, turning his throne room into a tribute to his bride's hometown. But there's no written record of that wedding. Others think the artists were just Egyptian trend-seekers who were obsessed with foreign vibes. But it's like finding a 100% authentic Japanese tea house inside a Victorian mansion. It shouldn't be there, and it breaks every rule we have about isolated ancient cultures. It's proof that the Bronze Age was way more of a melting pot than the history books like to admit. History isn't a dusty relic. It's a living, breathing crime scene that keeps getting more crowded. These 15 finds prove that the second we think we've got the past figured out, if the Earth spits out something that makes the experts look like amateurs, we're basically rewriting our own origin story in real time. It's messy, it's confusing, and honestly, it's a total blast to watch the consensus crumble. The book isn't finished. We're just getting to the good chapters. If you're into history that actually fights back, hit that subscribe button and join the circle. We're digging up new mysteries every week. And then you don't want to be the one left reading the old version of the book. Smash the like if one of these gave you chills, and drop a comment. Which discovery do you think the experts are most wrong about? Let's argue about it down there.